My name is Joanne Woodard, and I'm the executive director and founder of the Sally B. Howard School. We decided that we're going to become a 90-90-90 school. This was a year and a half ago. And a 90-90-90 school is one that has 90% low income, 90% minority, and achieves 90% proficiency on the state exams. We went about looking for who's going to help us do that. Man, if we could have done it, it would have been done already. And we went to the Intergenerational School in Cleveland, Ohio, met their founder and director, Kathy Whitehouse. And she really let us understand that Nurtured Heart was the key to the children's achievement. They were inspired to stand up to a higher level of functioning than they thought that they could be. That's when we learned about Nurtured Heart and we began to look into it. Nobody asked us to start a school. We did this for the love of the children. And because so many children were being overlooked, neglected, and not getting what they needed. Miss Wright, I just want to appreciate you. Do you appreciate your teacher? Is she a good teacher to you? Okay, tell me what you admire and like the most about Miss Wright, your teacher.
Special because when you don't know something, she'll help you until you keep working on it.
I am the behavioral support person for Sally B. Howard, and that takes care of the discipline here. I've been here for 5 years, and in the 5 years, in this year, that we, our teachers, our staff, have been using and giving the Nurtured Heart approach legway here, where 20 discipline incidents could happen in a day, it has literally been cut in half. That's Nurtured Heart. Our staff, they're great. They were great before. So to actually add this seasoning, this ingredient, which is Nurtured Heart, into our everyday life here at Sally B. Howard, it just makes it richer.
And I appreciate you, Jaleel, so much. I know I have to reset you earlier, but I love the way you try to behave. You're showing me how respectful you can be. Okay, thank you looking straight into my eyes. Very good. Showing me how sincere you are. Okay, let's now move on.
Our children, they're just not hearing anymore that they're great. They are literally feeling it. They are definitely walking in their greatness.
I've been struggling like every day for a discipline approach, trying to see what would work, researching all over the internet, and then finally we had this Nurtured Heart.
Parents want them to come and be loved and supported and their self-esteem to grow and their confidence to grow, because when those things happen, then academic success follows.
One of my big complaints has always been that we teach history, we teach all of these things in high school. We don't teach people how to be parents, and then we think when they have children they're just going to know intuitively. And it's not an intuitive thing that we're doing with children. And it's such a powerful position to be in, to be a teacher or a parent. And the Nurtured Heart approach gives you strategies and just a philosophy to follow that lets you know what to do with your kids and tells you what you can do to help them be successful. Just an inner strength that they need to get through life and to be happy.
If the children feel good about themselves, they want to put their attention on the teacher is up there teaching, and then they're able to learn better, they're able to retain the information better, therefore they will do better on their tests. Their grades will improve. That's intuitive. If they're not feeling good, if they're constantly being reprimanded, being put in a corner, being sent to the principal's office, do they want to sit and listen to the teacher?
The first year we came on board with Nurtured Heart, our office referrals dropped tremendously. The year prior to Nurtured Heart, we had a total of 92 office referrals. The next year, we went down to 42. Nurtured Heart helps our students see the worthiness in them. We want to continue to build on that worthiness, that part of them that says, I belong, I'm here, and I deserve to be here. We just wanted to make sure that the same way we bring our children here to teach them how to write, to teach them how to read, to do math and solve problems. We want to teach them how to be productive citizens as well. And so this was a way to do that.
Children, all of them, whether they're the sweet people pleasers who do whatever you say, what we term as difficult children, they all benefit from it. All of them. It's beautiful.
I was able to come back and have the 3 levels of structure that Nurtured Heart provides, reducing my negative interactions with the students, increasing my positive interactions with my students, and having the clear, structured rules and consequences for misbehavior.
In vision classes, you don't hear much about how to manage behavior, and so they were really, grasping for something concrete to do in the classrooms. And so much of what traditional parenting and traditional behavior management involves is negative, really negative, and kind of taking for granted when things are going well and then responding when they're not going well. So you're really reinforcing negative behavior by giving a lot of attention to it, because the kids love the adults in their lives and they want their attention. And so they are going to get it one way or the other. And with the Nurtured Heart approach, I think the teachers found that then they could give the kids who were behaving a lot of positive attention. The other kids who were having some behavior problems would then figure out that if I want the attention, that's the way to get it.
Yeah, I had some children with behavior problems, and the traditional ways that I had been taught to teach, I didn't find they were effective, and sometimes I felt like they were really demeaning to my students, to really criticize or call someone out on their misbehavior. In addition to all of that, it wasn't working. My children were still having trouble with their behavior and weren't having as many successful moments as I wanted them to have.
I often will think that children are supposed to behave like this, and they are. This is natural child development. However, the way I am reacting to it is causing us a giant rift in our relationship. And it was doing that time and again. I was noticing it changing my children physically. I was noticing them behaviorally. I was noticing myself. I would get more colds. I would get, angry so much more often. Everything was more negative when I was focusing on their negative. And even if it was something natural they were doing, stomping on their sister, smacking something on the wall, throwing balls when I told them not to, they all have to push buttons. It's all very natural. However, if I don't react to it in a Nurtured Heart way, then we are not happy, period. Nobody is happy when I am reacting, or my husband, when either of us is reacting to them in a non-Nurtured Heart way.
I can go home and say, well, at least I didn't lose it. At least I didn't blow my top and really hurt someone in a way that would take so much to undo. All that relationship that I've spent the time building with these children, all it takes is one time of blowing it, and it can take weeks or months to recover.
The way most people see things is in terms of scarcity of resources, unfortunately. So if you have 12,000 students in the district school, and you have a limited number of resources and a limited number of teachers, and you have a limited number of time, you, the teacher, you have a limited amount of time in which to pour into the children, and you have 25 children in the classroom, you start prioritizing. So what we found in the district is just a fact. It's just a fact. We wouldn't have 900 children here if the district was doing its job with every child. Right. No child left behind. If that was happening, we wouldn't have, and continue to have more and more and more each year. The reason we were attracted and we resonated with Nurtured Heart is because the result of complimenting and honoring children for the talents and the intelligence that they bring, the result of that is they start to say, oh yes, I am a good friend. Oh yes, I am good at. Oh yes, I have good self-control. And they really don't recognize that until somebody is feeding that back to them on a consistent basis.
are you just sharing your idea with me? That's a pig. Thank you. Thank you, boys and girls, for cooperating with Haley. Jeremiah. A cat. Jeremiah, I love the way that you participated this time. Boys and girls, does Jeremiah usually raise his hand and participate? No. You know that shows a lot of courage and perseverance to step out and raise your hand this time and get into the lesson. I appreciate that.
It has to be true. It has to be authentic. It's not fake. It's not made up. And it has to be incontrovertible. That when I say to you, boy, I like the way you're giving me eye contact, because that shows me that you're really interested in what I'm saying. That shows me that you're engaged. You want to know how this story developed. And you say that. The benefit is that they get to see that. And I'm a psychologist, so I know this. I know that children aren't born with high self-esteem, positive self-esteem or low self-esteem. They get the message. They get to build that esteem inside of them based on the feedback they're getting from their environment. And if I'm constantly telling you that you are no good, you're just like your daddy, and you're never going to amount to anything because he didn't amount to anything, that's the self-image and the self-concept that I'm going to internalize. I'm not choosing it, really. It's coming to me, and I'm just young enough and vulnerable enough to take it in. If I tell you, wow, I've never seen anybody so bright like you, I'm just waiting. It just does not yet appear what you shall be. God has given you greatness, girl, and I am sitting back and waiting and pushing you on. Just continue to be who you are. The feedback, that is what tells a child and a person whether they are valuable, whether they're worthwhile, or whether they're not. And then there's shades of gray in between. You can be inconsistent about it and all that. So what Nurtured Heart does, it consistently holds before that child those qualities and attributes of greatness that they are demonstrating every day. And over time, they get to buy into it. And they're buying into it anyway because it's irrefutable. If I say, you've been working on that problem for 5 minutes, oh my God, what tenacity, what perseverance. You really stick to something, don't you? You don't give up quickly, do you? You hang in there until you get it. And that's exactly what you're gonna need to do. That's what we all need to do to be great at things. We can't just, the first time something gets hard, we abandon it, dismiss it, throw it away and say, I don't know how to do that. We're never going to be masterful and strong and great at anything if we don't persist. So the fact that you sit there 5 whole minutes and keep your eyes up there and you're working it through shows me your discipline, your commitment to learning. It shows me so many things. So I use that to say you have to be reflecting truth. You can't talk about, oh boy, good job, high five. What are you talking about? Good job what? What did I do good? You can't just say pat on the back and how about that? You have to be very specific, and it has to be what is happening right now. It has to describe what you're doing right now.
PBIS is Positive Behavior Intervention Support, and it is not just for Chapel Hill. It is a statewide initiative that we have to do. And along with it, people have components in place that will kind of set the tone for your environment. And basically, most PBIS schools, they entertain the thought of the token system. And Tamara and Sue, who are our gurus, they came to us and said, why don't we try something different? Why don't we decide on an approach that will cause us to interact with our students more instead of giving something material? And at first, we were a little reserved. We were a little skeptical about that because we thought that there had to be something tangible in place in order for the students to respond. So we said, okay, let's give it a try. And we decided not to go with the token system, but go with the Nurtured Heart approach. We also had to convince our district leader that this is something that we wanted to undertake and that we could make it work.
I just got really excited about it. And so Sue and I worked together and we were able to
train us on the various pieces to Nurtured Heart and how we interact with children, how we are very positive, how we have Kodak moments and all types of various things that we need to do to be specific with our students, giving them compliments. And the compliments had to be targeted. They had to be intentional so that the students realized not only did we acknowledge what they did, but we were pleased with it as well. So it was a reward because we're giving you compliments and we're making sure that the compliments are directed and they're specific to you and the task you've completed.
I gave you some really clear rules about what I needed you to do when you came over here. And you're partner reading and you're doing exactly what I asked. I'd asked that you use a whisper voice and you're doing that. And this is showing a lot of self-control to not be using our regular big voice, right? We're showing a lot of self-control and also really care and love for our friends who are over there trying to learn in reading group. And I really admire that. I don't know how you're doing it because I know that it's not easy to be so quiet when you're here in school. And you know what else? It's also showing a lot of patience because I'm going to have to go over and be with the other group now, and I might not be able to be here to help you, but you're going to be patient and wait for your turn. You really are dedicated to school, aren't you, friends? Keep up the good work, John, okay? And Roman, and Rico, and LSJ. Give yourself some greatness snaps. And taps. Good job, boys. I really appreciate you all, okay?
Sydney was sort of helping me, and Ava, we were kind of reading together. She would help me with little things.
That's right. You know each other very well, don't you? What does that say about Ava, Jada?
That's that she is a great leader, and she's helping me with my reading.
It gets deeper than just saying, you did a really great job today. You're sitting up and you're ready to pay attention, you're ready to learn. It also tells that child, you know that I'm here and you want me here. I belong here. This is where I'm supposed to be today, right now. So yeah, it does more. It does more.
And boys and girls, let me just say, I saw that Desmond was just kind of thinking, you were so respectful, giving him some good wait time while he was thinking. You didn't go like, you were just so patient, and that gave him time to formulate his answer. Thank you for that.
One of the wonderful things about Nurtured Heart is it's very empowering to the adult, to the teacher, to the parent. You really start to see how your words and your actions positively influence the actions of your students or children. And so when you come in and you have that mindset and you realize that what you say and what you do is going to make a tremendous difference for your children, you see that difference. They respond to your requests, they act more kindly to one another, they copy what it is you're doing. And that's a fabulous thing about the Nurtured Heart approach, that the children will start to pick up their language. And I have children noticing and recognizing each other in ways you would have never thought 5-year-olds could do.
That's how on the playground was really nice to me. Thank you for noticing.
Okay, let's open it up now to some other compliments.
I like when Anna walked down the hallway and Ava walked down the hallway.
Oh, do you have something else about that?
They were hip and lip and they were walking quietly.
And that showed what?
Kindness.
Because we care about the other learners in this building, and if we're loud and jumping around, we might interrupt some learning, right, Elena? What can we say? Thank you for noticing.
Thank you for noticing.
Boys and girls, you just worked so well together right there. Thank you for not fighting and feuding over what we were going to choose in that group. Tribe 3, what would you like to choose, Sydney? Come on, a turkey. And try 4, what would you like to choose? Angela.
A frog.
A frog. Boys and girls, put your eyes on me before we do our vote. Let me just take a moment right here to say, during that process, no one fussed, no one was fighting, no one was saying, pick me, I want my answers. You could have been doing all of those things. You could have been fussing and feuding and yelling about what you wanted. But you were respectful to each of your classmates in your tribe. You know what that shows? It shows discipline. Exactly, Brianna. Thank you, Haley. And it shows teamwork. It shows you are disciplined first graders and you have teamwork. Kiss your brains for that. You could have been yelling and I want this answer, but you just showed a lot of discipline. So let's keep that going throughout the lesson, okay?
Okay.
All right.
When I got to reading and really listening, the resets are chances for them to redeem themselves.
When I say reset, friends, what does that mean? Who can raise their hand and tell me? Thanks, Ava, for raising your hand.
It means to say crisscross applesauce and put your hands in your lap.
Thank you for knowing that.
Marlette?
A chicken.
A chicken is on that page. Reset, please. Eileen, can you give me an animal that's on that page?
A dog.
A dog is on that page. And Cornelia, Javari, you may come out of reset. Cornelia, can you give me an animal? What, a sheep? It looks like a sheep.
It's a cat.
That's okay. We'll put a sheep and a cat. Javari, you may answer me now, and thank you for going straight into reset, and when you came out of reset, you simply raised your hand and got back on task. Thank you for that.
It's not in all this page, but I'm just going to say a turkey.
A turkey? You can share a turkey even though it's not on that page. You know what that shows me even more, Javari? That you just jump right back into the lesson. That shows your excitement for learning. Shows what a studious student you are. You know what that means? What does that mean? It means you're so ready to learn.
Happy to see you, said Anita.
I had so much success with it and saw such a positive change in my students that I just thought, how can you not do this and not provide this for your students or for your children?
To hear the terms reset, no matter what grade, no matter where we are in the building, it has a nice feeling to it because everybody's on the same page.
Remember, you were so focused when reading that story. Takira, reset, please. Christina, what was another?
In my culture, it's, I don't have time to do all this talking. I'm going to whoop their tail and it's going to be over with. It has to be a better way. And this is it.
She a very caring person because like every time when like I do things that's bad, she like really cares for me. She want me to change my attitude towards people. That's why I love her as my teacher and stuff.
Here for almost 6 years. This is the first time that I cried because I never thought that you do appreciate me.
The ways I was taught, I look back at them now and they were so demeaning to the children. It was not the way I would want to be treated. I actually at one point had this big aha of, wow, if someone spoke to me that way, even as an adult, I would just crumble and probably want to be under the table and hiding because at the end of the day, this is about how we treat each other and how we learn to show respect and acknowledgement of each other. And I don't want children learning from me that it's okay to yell or to criticize or to demean when things are not going well. There needs to be a better way.
so that you get the fundamentals, that you get the foundation, that you get what you need in order to be a successful person who delivers Nurtured Heart. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. And I'm glad we are Nurtured Heart School.
There's something in it, as Tamara said, for everyone. And you don't have to try to implement the entire full-blown approach at one time. You can take a piece that feels like a comfortable fit for you and work on that first. And that's probably the easiest way to do it, don't you think? And to then build over time. And then there are other people for whom it is just like, as I said earlier, a really comfortable fit, and they just jump right in, and swim with it.
They're all equal, all equally important. The reducing negativity, increasing positive relationship, and then the rules and consequences. So, and if you do them all the right way, the children just continue to flourish and be built up and feel successful.
And you don't have to have as many rules.
Yes. Yes, which we do love about it.
I'm so glad it's at our kids' school, Mary Scruggs, because our children are there all day long. We have them basically after the activities in the afternoon, just a couple of hours. Once they start at their elementary school, they are there for the most, predominantly, they live at school. We have them on the weekends, other than during activities. We have them some in the evenings. Primarily, they're being raised at school once they start elementary school. So for our school to have adopted the Nurtured Heart approach was huge for me, even once I realized what it was all about.
Thank you, Hakeem. I so appreciated that. That was a great expression from the heart, buddy. I love that. Hi, Trevon. The person does change in the way that they are feeling about themselves. They feel good about themselves, and if it's consistent, they learn what their qualities and their character traits are and what their greatness is. So that's the first thing and the biggest thing I love about the Nurtured Heart approach is that it builds self-esteem, self-worth, and self-confidence that cannot be taken away because it's authentic and it is true. It's not made up. The other thing is for teachers, there's a great deal less stress when they employ Nurtured Heart in their classroom to shape and discipline the class. Lots less stress. What if I had known these things when I was a kid growing up? I would have a different worldview. I would be so comfortable in my skin in terms of who I am. I would be proud. My back would be straight. My head would be tall.
If the old isn't working, just welcome in the new. And Nurtured Heart is a new, fresh breath of air, just a fresh rush of air that comes in for a lot of our parents. Same thing we do at school. We do it at home. And it helps us. It's less stress, less wrinkles, less high blood pressure. Just being able to see something good in a situation that would not normally be good. And that is Nurtured Heart.
One, two, 4, 5, she was getting loose, we're dancing on the rooftop. 3, 4, hit the floor, shake it all around and move to the sound, yeah. We get loose in the knees, J-Bell legs while we tapping our feet. Knocking our heads to the beat, chests are popping and the shoulders swing. Whoop, whoop, it's a grand jubilee. If the party's too full, then we'll move it to the street. Don't matter if it's cold